Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. I am live from Miami Beach. So apologies, the backdrop's a little chaotic because I'm staying in a hotel, but we are going to be talking about how do you turn your connections to clients. And if you're watching me on LinkedIn, obviously this is going to be about LinkedIn, but if you're watching me on Substack or YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, the same principles apply because conversion is not about algorithms. Conversion is not about some hack of the system. Conversion is about convincing another person to take action, to take a step, to move forward. And if you've seen people getting conversion and you struggle to get conversion, the longer you keep looking for a secret source, the more you'll struggle. So today we're going to talk about how do you convert people. I'm going to look at the principles, how I approach it. I'll talk through how I do it and give you some resources to help you think about how you convert too. So thank you for joining me today. Um, I am going to share my screen. I've got some slides and some stuff I want to share. There is a chat here. So if you want to jump in and chat, I'll try and reply to every comment, but I'm live on every channel I've got. So it may take me a little while to see all of the comments. So, okay, so let's dig into today's session. Hi, Monique on YouTube. Great to see you. Let's get into today's session, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm going to talk about. Here we go. I'm going to share a window or a tab, and we're going to go, here we go. So you should be seeing my screen now, which is great. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how do we get that conversion. So if you've never been to one of my sessions before, or you're going, who the hell is this person that's popped up in my feed? I'm Dean Seddon. I'm the founder of Maverick, social selling, training, coaching, and consultancy business. We've been going for 14 years doing this stuff, helping people not go viral, not become social media famous, but actually make money from the platform, whether they're a salesperson, a marketing leader, or a business owner. So LinkedIn's a big channel for B2B, but the same principles I'm going to share with you will apply across every channel because it's about people, not algorithms. So you can see I've done a lot of what I do for a lot of different companies. And according to Fabricon in 2026, I'm the number 3 social selling expert in the world. I think I'm number 1, but we have to have some independence there, right? Okay, so let's just talk about the elephant in the room here, the conversion problem. So maybe you're posting, you're sharing stuff, you've got followers, you've got connections, you've got Facebook friends, whatever they are. But for whatever reason, you're not getting any business from it. This is a common problem, the conversion problem on social media. People say, I get loads of engagement, or I get loads of people liking my stuff, or I've got loads of people who could be perfect fits, but for whatever reason, they are not buying. We're going to look at that today. Maybe you're posting stuff, but it's not driving any inbound leads. So it's not converting. The content isn't converting. Or maybe you get leads and they expire and then it all falls apart. Or you're outreaching and getting no response. This is not just you. This is common for a lot of people. And I'm going to break down why that happens and show you how to fix it. So by the end of today's session, you will really see how you fix this stuff. So let me just explain why those things happen. So you've got a great audience, followers, whatever, but no clients. The problem there is they might like who you are, they might know your name, but they don't see how you're relevant to them in their situation. So if this was dating, I'd say you've been friend zoned. And we think actually lots of people knowing our name, lots of people knowing we are, it's almost guaranteed we'll get business. It's not true. You can be friend zone. People can like your stuff, like what you do, like you as a person, and not see any need to buy. So very, very common, but that's the reason. They don't see how what you're doing and what you offer can fit to their priorities, what it matters to them. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So how do you understand that in a moment? But that's fundamentally why it happens. They just don't see why they should give you any money. You're posting content but getting no inbound leads. So again, this could be your posts are really interesting in a general sense, but they're not relevant to a specific burning problem. Not a problem that the audience wants to deal with. Not a problem that the audience wants to solve. And I see a lot of people doing how-to content on socials, and how-to is a really good type of content to build an audience. It's great to build trust. It's great to grow engagement because you're giving people tactical stuff they can apply. But here's the problem. What that content does, it motivates people to go and do it. It doesn't motivate people to want to know more. So you'll see people posting cheat sheets about what you need to do. Here, 10 frameworks. Great. Great for growing an email list. Great for building trust that you know what you're doing and that you're credible and you're an expert. But it does not give people a reason to say, Dean, I want to work with you more. The logic is that the content will go, wow, if this is what you do for free, what will you do for paid? But actually, the logic works the other way around. Why do I need to work with Dean? Because he gives out so much great free stuff. I can just keep consuming that. So you have to be careful about how you use content because it might be helpful, it might be good, it might be engaging, but it could be engaging the wrong audience and it could be sending the wrong signal to the audience to basically empower them to do it themselves. There's no need to buy from you. You're actually stopping people from buying from you. I just want to say one more thing here as well. Your content might be speaking to your industry rather than your target market. So, for an example, I obviously talk about LinkedIn and social selling a lot. Most of my target audience don't actually think about, talk about, obsess about social selling. They want clients, they want to make more money, they want to be seen as an expert, they want to build trust, they want leads. They're not thinking, if only I knew social selling better. And so my content might be inadvertently appealing to other people like me. And I am not my customer. You are not your customer. So your content may be appealing to the very people you don't want, other people who do what you do. And if you scroll LinkedIn or any social channel, you'll find Instagram growth gurus and all the comments are other Instagram growth gurus. Is that an engagement pod? Probably. But it could also be their content is just appealing to other people who like the same things that they do. So we have to make our content about the burning things that matter and prioritize for our audience. That's why it happens. Now you're getting leads, but they go cold. So this is where a disconnect between what you did on to get the lead and what you offer. And this happens a lot. People post things and share things, and then when they get a lead, they don't connect what they do, their service, their offer, their value to the content they've got them the lead. So it's almost like a bait and switch. You might not see it that way, but the lead comes on going, yeah, 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 I want that, I want that, I want to talk to you about that. And then you disregard that. You don't connect the offer of what you're putting together to what they came on the call for. So if I came on a call with you and said, actually, I want to have more free time in my business. I'm working 70 hours. I don't want more free time in my business because I enjoy what I do. But if I did, and I reach out to you and say, I'm working 70 hours a week and I'm knackered and I've got no family time, your offer has to show me and help me believe that you can help me get those 20 hours back or whatever it is. Get me down to 50 hours, get me to spend more time, leisure time with my family, all of that stuff. You've got to connect your offer, what you're selling, to the motivations that I will pay for, the things that I am driven to want. If you don't do that, you'll struggle. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. You outreach and you get no replies. It's because you're not linking it to what I want again. So fundamentally, when you look at that pattern, a pattern, or when you look at those answers, a pattern emerges. They're not reaching out because they don't see how it's relevant for them. You fix that by being radically specific. I often say to people, if you can get really specific about the problem you solve and who you solve it for and how you solve it, you will get way more leads, way more clients, make way more money than trying to appeal to multiple people. I got a connection request from some leadership guru this morning, and he says, Dean, I often talk with leaders who know the business is working, but something's off. I don't know what that means. I tell you what, I'm really happy my business is doing well, but there are still a list of niggles, and I can tell you specifically what those niggles are. And some of those niggles I will pay to solve. So why does that person who outreached to me, why did they avoid saying anything specific and say something's off? Because in their mind, in that person who outreached to me, in their mind, they don't want to close a door to an opportunity. So what they do is think, how can I write a message that tries to appeal to people with lots of different issues? How do I appeal to people who have maybe 3 or 4 different reasons they pay for? And what happens is we try to go, how do I catch everybody or catch more people? And in doing that, we create a message that isn't specific, which means when I get it, I go, you're just like everybody else. So that radical specificity actually creates higher response rates. People see the value in what you're doing better, and it makes a way more of an impact on the platform. Excuse me. Second reason they're not buying is because they don't believe it will work for them. There's a lack of certainty, and we can fix that lack of certainty. And then the final one is sales is a process and buying is a journey. And people are not reaching out because you either have a really bad sales process or you don't understand or haven't built a buying journey for a pathway, as we would call it. In other words, it's very rare that somebody sees one thing from you and decides to buy. They have to see a pattern of things, consistent things to convert. It's not a one thing game. And so if you're not specific and you're not giving people the certainty and you haven't built that pathway to actually convert people, guess what? It's guesswork. You are just putting stuff out and hoping it comes together. And sometimes that good dot to dot will join up by chance. And you go, this is working. And then it doesn't work for months because those 3 things are missing. Now, let me show you my approach before we get into this, because this will be really helpful for you. So, whenever somebody comes to me to get clients from LinkedIn, but you can apply this anywhere, you have to think about what they want to do. You have to think about the audience, and I call this the first one of these is the 4 second value prop. In other words, just ignore the black copy on the right. That's just I put this into all my training, so they don't really make sense here. But the first thing I always say to people is, look, social media, people are distracted. They're not thinking properly. They're not thinking clearly. So you have to make it really easy to see what's in it for them so that they get ultimate value. They can see what's in it for them first. You have to be specific there. You can't talk to everybody at once. And if you use generic statements that mean nothing to people, but you use them because it kind of allows you to put multiple things into a bucket. So, for an example, rather than say accountants, you go professional services leaders. You've just watered it down. Or you say challenges around operational efficiency. That's a bucket you've just made. You've just made a bucket that resonates with nobody because you're avoiding, say, the actual specifics. So, for you to get people to give you their time to consider taking another step, every place you have to give them a 4-second value prop. In a post, in the first 4 seconds, can they see what they gain from paying attention? On your profile, 4-second value prop. Everything has to do that work. If you don't do that, it'll be like ships passing in the night. They see you, but they don't see the relevance. And for people who dial this in, they get inbound leads. For the people who choose specificity, they get more inquiries. For the people who, and I'm going to say it, are afraid to get specific because they struggle right now appealing to a wider base, their logic center says, if I go specific, I'll be even worse off. Actually, the reason you're worse off, the reason you're not getting leads is because you're avoiding doing the specific stuff, and that is what gets you leads. So there's people getting leads being more specific than you, while you're being seen by the same buyers and they're not buying from you, they're going to somebody else because of that lack of specificity. Second, remember I said buying is a journey. In order for you to build that trust, in order for people to get to know you, to see the value of what you do, you have to turn your profile into a pre-selling asset. It needs to educate and clearly communicate what you do, how you do it, your approach to it, who you've worked with, and importantly, have some social proof there so that the people who are mulling around you, weighing it up, can get used to you, become familiar with you, but also, and I'll talk about this in a second, it will help you build trust. You will eliminate what we call pitch shock. And pitch shock is where somebody doesn't quite know what you do, but you've said something that resonates. So they book a call, and then when on the call, they suddenly figure out the details of what you do, and they are overwhelmed with it in one go, and they go, oh, I need to take a step back. That's why people ghost you often. They're coming to the call without a lack of understanding, and then they get pitch shock, whether that be pricing, the way your service works, what your service does. So your profile is there to eliminate that pitch shock. They already know what you do. They know how you work. They know how you've done it for other people before. That's really critical to eliminating that pitch shock, which is the reason why people ghost you. But it's also the reason why some people will not book calls because they're not really sure what they're booking a call about. Now, audience of buyers, I'm going to scoot through this one really quickly. But an audience of buyers is you need the right people around you. You know, there's a common thing that's said on social media: engage with other people in your industry. And I get it because it grows your engagement. But all you're doing is putting yourself in a bubble of other people like you, all patting each other on the back, supporting each other. And sure, it looks great from the metrics because you've got all these likes and comments and all that kind of stuff. But you're building an audience around people who do what you do. You need people who have a problem you can solve around you. Now, on LinkedIn, that's easier. I would argue it's easiest on LinkedIn because you can find the right people better. It's easy on Facebook. It's much more difficult on Instagram, TikTok, and the other channels. LinkedIn's the easiest because it has search filters to find exactly the right people. So you should be building that audience, connecting, growing your network, growing your friends list, growing your followers with exactly the right people. Much easier to do that on LinkedIn than any other channel. Next, and I'm not going to cover this in today's session, but you also need tactical wins, right? You are, you might in this moment think, I'm a serious business person, or I'm a serious salesperson, or I'm a serious marketer, and you'd be right in that sense. But we are human beings, and we can easily, very easily lose interest and get demotivated. And so you need some tactical things you can do to generate leads quickly. Otherwise, you will lose your motivation. And you can say all you like, I've seen this for years. People go, yeah, yeah, I want to build a long-term pipeline of success. I want to get to a point where I've got a queue of people who want to work with me, and my price point can be higher because I've got that demand, and I can pick and choose who I work with. People will often say they want that to me. And I say, okay, how much work are you prepared to do to get to that point? Could you work 6 months to get that? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But then what I find is that within a month, within 6 weeks, they're going, oh, it's a lot of work. I don't want to do it. And it's not a lot of work. What's happening is they're not prioritizing it. They're not allocating the time. They're wasting their time on other things. So I've always found that if you can give people something instant, relatively instant, in the first month that will give them a win or a good sign of progress, then you will be more motivated to keep going and keep doing something. Because the very harsh truth is, there is limited success you can get by just dipping in and dipping out of any platform. You have to be there doing things over and over and over again and letting your activity compound. And often people are not doing that. So their sporadic activity is, I've done this post today and then I'm not doing anything for a week, or I've done a post today about this and now I'm doing it about this and now this. And so you end up with this sporadic activity or inconsistent activity that's not compounding. And that's why it doesn't work. So if you give people some tactical wins short term, they're more likely to actually stick to the plan to build the long term wins, where they end up with a list of people to work with them. They have to take on other staff because they've actually got more demand than they can supply. So it starts to get really good that way. But most people will not do the work to actually build that unless they keep themselves motivated with some short term wins. And then, which we are going to look at, is this consistent path, that long term win that will give you it. So let's just dig into that. So let's go to the radical specificity for a minute. Yeah, so we talked about those three things. Just go back there. Those three things you need to put in, right? So let's have a look at it. So radical specificity, right? Really important. You cannot solve conceptual problems. You can only solve problems people can see, right? And the problems that people can see and feel are the problems they'll pay for. They are the problems they want to solve. If you try and solve problems they do not want to solve, you will have to do mass amounts of educational content to teach them that they're trying to solve the wrong problem. That is hard work. Often, people what are motivated, want to solve the tactical, visible, observable problems. They want to pay to solve those things. Often, what they need are strategic solutions. So, I'll give you an example. I help people get clients online, on LinkedIn, social selling, all that stuff. Often, their problem of why they're not getting clients is nothing to do with tactics on LinkedIn. That's what they're looking for. That's what most people are looking for. I want a secret recipe that I can buy and use to get clients. Often, when people buy those secret recipes, those courses, they try to implement them and realize their messaging, the way they position themselves, is wrong. And so they apply that secret tactic or tool and it fails because the underlying issues are still there. So I have to sell. People want clients, I will help you get clients. But what you need is clear messaging, a deep understanding of your buyer, a way to get in front of your buyer, and a way to convert them. Yeah, very simply. So I market to what people want and deliver what they need to get what they want. But if I market what they need, they'll zone out. So I have to speak to what they're and sell into what they're motivated to buy, and then deliver the strategic fix, which is bigger than what they want to buy. If they want leads and clients, great. I can give you 10 things you could do right now. Most of them will fail for people because they've not mastered the things that make those things work. So they're basically using the bad uh, way of the bad messaging, the bad targeting, the bad focus, putting it into a vessel, a tactic, and the tactic fails. And they go, LinkedIn doesn't work, Facebook doesn't work. So you have to focus on what they'll pay for and deliver what they need strategically to solve that so that the tactical thing goes away. So this is really important because if you lead with actually, mindset strategy, you sell what you do, you sell the big underlying problem of what you do, people will zone out because it's not relevant to them. They can see a problem right in front of them and they are motivated to pay to solve that. And weirdly, they will pay more to solve the problem in front of them that they can see than the strategic problem that's underlying until they realize that the big problem is the big problem. And that takes a journey. Part of my sales process is to actually help people see in, in the call, help them see that their bigger problem isn't beyond leads and clients. They don't know how to convert them. They don't know how to capture leads. They don't know what message works. They don't know how to position what they sell so it's valuable to their target audience. So that's what I have to help them fix. And that's what you have to factor in. People are motivated to go for what they want. So what do they want? What do they really want? You need to know. So that 4 second value prop of what they want needs to drip down into everything you do so that you're getting people who are motivated to go forward. People who want something are motivated to go forward. So you're tapping into something they're wired to want to do rather than you trying to create content to make them do something. So your 4 second value prop needs to link to the want, but show them in your content what they gain from reading, in your offer what they gain tangibly from it. Yeah, I spoke to a coach the other day, and I mean I work with lots of different people, but I spoke to a coach, and they said to me, Dean, I don't help people get anything. I just help them think more clearly. I was like, no, 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 no. They think more clearly, which means what? Think about what happens because they think more clearly. That's you going, my offer helps you think more clearly. But actually, what do people want? I want to know what I want to go for a better career, but I don't know which direction to go in. Okay. In order to do that, you need to find out what you really want. What career, what salary, what kind of responsibility? Do you want something where you work from home? Do you want to work in an office? Do you want to lead a team? Actually, that coach was helping people get clarity about the future direction of their career. So why were they not talking about the future direction of their career? Why were they not talking about where they wanted to be? And this is the mistake we make. The need bit is, I'll help you get clarity. It's what you need to get what you want. No, no, no. You have to show what you want, what people want, and then explain what they need. So what do they gain from your service? What do they gain from replying to your DM? If you're following up prospects and you say, "Oh, let me know if you want to chat further." About what? Why? Why should I want to chat further with you? What's in it for me? So think about that want and tap all of your messaging into what do they gain from going on a call with you? Nobody goes on a call with you just to buy stuff. They go on a call to explore how their business might change because of this, how their life might change. So you have to really make it obvious and clear based on their observable wants, not some conceptual stuff, so that you lead with the thing that they're motivated to buy, they're motivated to pursue. And this is true for corporates, by the way. If a corporate business is on about we need to increase our profit margin by 5%, right? You should be leading with this is how I think I can get you 5% more profit margin. Like literally lead with what they want, then show them how they need it. Now, in order to do that and do it well, you can't talk to audiences, multiple audiences at once. And so that relevance that we talked about, that radical specificity, can only work if you figure out who you're talking to. And I'll give you an example of this. I talk about this example all the time. In the early 2000s, Richard Branson decided to launch Virgin Coke. And he decided he was going to take on Coca Cola. Now, Richard Branson's a billionaire, but he doesn't have the resources, the marketing firepower, the marketing budget of Coca Cola. And he didn't stand a chance of taking on Coca Cola because he just couldn't fight them and compete with them because he was trying to take them on in a direct assault and it failed on a kind of global level. Instead, what Red Bull did is they went, well, let's target certain markets, small areas of the market where we can get a very specific message, but also we can really dominate that little area. So what did they do? Vodka and Red Bull. Vodka and Red Bull. Now, I don't think you can buy vodka and Red Bull. I think it's banned in the UK now, but um, vodka and Red Bull. Great idea. They made a lot of money and they weren't competing with Coke and they made a lot of money. What about the other example of Red Bull? Extreme sports. You know, the skydiving and all that kind of stuff. They're totally associated with them. So you look at that and you go, hang on a minute, made a fortune in tiny sections of the market compared to the overall soft drinks market. Now, today you can find Red Bull in every convenience store anywhere, probably any in the world. But they didn't start there. They didn't do the Virgin Coke thing of let's try and take on Coca-Cola because they knew they didn't have the marketing manpower, the marketing budgets, and it was fierce. Now, you're not competing against Coca-Cola, but you are operating in social media, which is busy, which is full of noise, which is full of other people doing similar things. And so if you want to cut through all of that, radical specificity, the five ones will actually get you there. It will actually cut through all of that stuff. So pick a problem, pick a want, build an offer around it. You probably already got it, it already exists, the services already exist. But how do we craft that message of that so that it fits that problem, that audience, that offer? Build your message around it, build your profile around it, build your content around it. Yeah. And then have a methodology of how you approach it, both in terms of how you deliver the service, but how you capture leads. We're going to look at that in a moment. Yeah. Now, absolute certainty. You can't people to for people to buy, they've got to have a degree of confidence that you can deliver the result they want. It is better that you do this before any sale. So I'm going to show you some examples of what you can do here. But one of the things we don't realize about trust, about certainty, is it comes from predictability. It comes from consistency. And so I'm not just talking about post regularly. I'm talking about consistent message, consistently showing up, consistently saying the same things, your profile and your content aligning, everything joining up. Interesting, interestingly, if you look at any election in the US or UK, if you look at the winning party from every election, they all had one singular message that they repeated over and over and over and over and over. And it was usually very short and very sweet. The people who lost elections had a complex, nuanced, sophisticated message. Now, we could get into the rights and wrongs of that, but it's what's that's irrelevant. What it says is humans latch on to the more are familiar with it, the more they're fond of it, the more they lean that way. So, one of the things that you want to be doing is making sure that you, one, consistently show up, but consistently show up in the same way so people build that familiarity. If people feel that they know you, they've heard about you, a little bit of that nervousness about buying falls away. So familiarity breeds fondness. People warm to it more. Now, the other part of this is people will look at your profile on LinkedIn, on Instagram, wherever, Facebook, over and over and over and over again. And so that's another way to one, seed your message, but also build that familiarity. So every time you post, every time you comment, every time you connect, every time you message, people look at your profile. So how much of your profile is actually reinforcing the same message? Now, you remember I talked about pitch shock. You should optimize your profile so that people can read up about what you do before they ever go on a call with you. There's case studies, there's stories, there's examples. Don't just rely on posts. Have some permanent stuff on your profile that people can go, yeah, Dean's helped somebody like me. Yeah, Dean's social selling accelerator. I had a look at it because that's what they'd book a call about. I talked to somebody the other day. They had a call link on their profile in their featured section. Book a call with me. I looked at her profile and I said, book a call about what? Her profile, top to bottom, was so ambiguous. She was asking people to book a call about without any context of why. So go and radically rip through your profile and go, am I showing what I'm selling and why it matters for them? Have I got proof on my profile that I can deliver for people like the people I'm going after? If you haven't, you are introducing one, people don't know why to engage with you, why to reach out to you. Two, you're going to create pitch shock. If they do reach out, you'll create pitch shock. You can have a great post, drives a load of leads, they go on the call, they have no context about what you do, and so you end up with the wrong people on the call with the wrong frame of mind. Here's another one for you you might not like, but it works. If you put your prices in your offer on your featured section, you will get better quality calls. Better quality calls. You'll have people coming knowing how much the investment is. Or you don't, because maybe you're afraid you might lose out, and you get people coming on the call and go, oh, that's a lot of money. Or worse, you get people who want a high value solution, and because your messaging's not right and clear, they think you sell $200 things. So think about how you're setting yourself up to pre-sell so that people know what you do before they ever speak to you. Because they will. If you put a post out and it provokes their interest, they'll come look at your profile, they'll look through. If your offer's there, they get a flavor of what it looks like. Now, are they going to buy the first time they see you and the first time? No, it's a journey. But if at least that stuff's out in the public domain inside LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever, they are getting familiar with what you're doing. Now, I've put in here in the slides, I will send you the slides after today. If you message me, I'm happy to send you the slides. The other thing you should be doing is showing the transformation of your services for clients that you're already working with through posts. If, if a client, a lead prospect, can see that you've worked with other people like them, solve the problems that they've had, and got them to an outcome that they wanted, they are more confident to buy, and they're more interested to know about how. Often when we post testimonials, the testimonials saying how great we are. Actually, this flip on this post is actually about helping them see how great your client's journey has been. So it's not a sales post about you, it's selling how great their client journey has been, what's happened for them. And if they recognize themselves, their situation in that, they will inquire. So it's really important you think about how you flip this. You don't have to hard sell if you focus on the journey of other people's clients, other people who are like the clients you want. Now, we're going to look at the path to pipeline. I've only got a few minutes left. I've probably killed the Wi-Fi in the hotel doing this, but I want to look at the path to pipeline because there are 5 different pathways to pipeline. All of these implement in roughly 30 minutes per day. You don't have to do all 5. You have to do one and master it, not half-ass it. You have to master these. That's why when people work with me, I create tactical campaigns so that whilst they're spending a few weeks figuring it out, whilst they're doing it the first time and feeling a little overwhelmed, maybe they're getting something back so they can take the time to master it. I've been doing lives like this for 6 years. Yeah, we worked out that roughly every time I do this, I make about $27,000. But the first times I did it, the first probably, 3, 4, 5, it was clunky, it was awkward, I didn't know what I was doing. So that's why you need the tactical stuff whilst you're building this. It's not that these take long to build, but it takes a little while for it to be, like, I'll give you an example. What do I do now? I do this. Okay, I do this. I do this. I do. Did I do that? I forgot to do that. It's a bit like that. And after doing it 2 or 3 times, you go, actually, I know what I'm doing, and it's autopilot. Once you get to a point where you can do these on autopilot, it gets really fast, really easy, and the whole lead gen thing becomes simple. Getting leads and converting them becomes simple because it's autopilot. So what are these 5? So first off, emails and newsletters. Building a newsletter, whether it be on LinkedIn or email, is like foundational. During the pandemic, my email list kept my business alive. I got most of my business from my email list. So growing an email list is future-proofing your pipeline. Even today, with all the tools we've got, an opt-in email list returns $35 for every dollar spent, as long as you're growing it with the right people. If you grow it with randoms and you just want how-to tips, you've just built an email list of randoms. So email list and newsletter is really powerful. Conversion content is about creating that internal urgency that drives people to move. So there's a difference between posting something that gets likes and comments and posting something that drives that movement of I want to know more. You need to use internal urgency to do that. Events and webinars, a bit like this. This is my top performing one. I've generated 125,000 leads. And every time I do this, people will message me and say, Dean, I liked what you did. I want to know how to implement this. Can you help me? So events and webinars, it's about sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise in a very specific way, not holding things back, giving people advice, but actually creating that interest for the next step. So yes, you help them. Yes, you help them understand the situation. Yes, you do a bit of how to, but it's fundamentally about gathering a crowd of people who want something and showing you have a pathway to get them. So events and webinars are really good. Great on LinkedIn, great on Facebook, great on Instagram, great on YouTube, actually. Now, if you're a salesperson, you need to build relationships. That doesn't have to take a long time on social media, on LinkedIn, for example, but it does need a process. And you need to map that process so it's efficient. Now, I am not against AI, I'm not against automation, I'm quite happy with those. What I do know is that people are sick of automated outreach. People can spot automated outreach, and people can spot AI. And so if you can go a little bit more personal, you actually get a higher response rate. It's a bit like, for an example, if you're getting a load of pizza menus through your door from local takeaways, you get loads of them, and then you get an envelope that's like really specially done, all that kind of fancy stuff. Guess what? That envelope gets opened. If you just put another leaflet that looks like a pizza menu through, you get branded with the pizza menus. But if you make this really fancy envelope and put it through, you actually get more attention. And outreach is going that way. Whilst everybody's telling you, "Oh, no, no, these AI systems will do it all for you," it's nonsense. It's nonsense because those people who are saying this are forgetting one fundamental point. Humans are brilliant at spotting patterns, and value is linked to, if you think about it, the more value is linked to more personal, not more transactional. So less messages, but building relationship first, higher conversion. And I do this too. Hyper targeted prospecting is the extreme version of personalization. Extreme version. Now, I only do 5 of these messages a day, 5, and I book 1 meeting every single day. Now, I'll confess I've not done any whilst I've been here because time zone's different, but when I'm home, I do 5 every single day, and I book a meeting a day. That's the power of it. Can you do 5 messages in 30 minutes a day? Of course you can. Of course you can. And it's the personalization that makes them work. Now, I'm running out of time, but this is how you convert connections into clients. It's not about some secret strategy. It's about really tapping into what do they want? How do I lead with that in that kind of radical specificity? Go audit your activity and ask yourself, is it relevant? Will they see themselves in it? In your offer, is it a generic list of stuff that you do, or is it speaking to the things that they're motivated to pay for? Then look at literally mapping out how you're pre-selling what you're doing, building that certainty before the call, before you outreach, so that they know that you're credible and that you've done it for other people. They know who you are. And then thirdly, that you're building that pathway, that process to go, right, I've got to build that awareness, pre-sell. Okay, I've got to capture their interest. Great. Now I've got to move that interest to a call. On that call, I've got to uncover and use discovery well to get a proposal out. And then I've got to have a process to follow that proposal up to actually close it. If you don't have that built, you're making it up as you go along. And sometimes you'll get it right, and sometimes you'll get it wrong. So you need these pathways, or one of them, and you need to master it. So if it is an email list, you're building an email list and you're sharing value. How do you get people to book a call out of a value-based email? And then how do you get them to book a call for the right reasons? So that then it links to what you offer on the call. You can do the discovery and then get out a proposal from it and follow that proposal up. Because I'll tell you now, if you're not following up your proposals or you're only following up once, you are committing the mistake that 44% of salespeople do. They follow up once. Statistically proven that most of the deals and opportunities that come your way will only close if you do between 3 and 5 follow-ups. You could literally, if you're only doing 1 follow-up right now, and you flip to doing somewhere between 3 and 5, you will treble your sales. And that's years and years of stats. That's not just me saying what I see. That's the industry. 44% of salespeople only follow up once. Why? Because they get in their own head and go, won't I be annoying people? Won't I be pestering people? Buyers expect follow-ups, by the way. Most buyers expect between 2 and 4 follow-ups. So sometimes we get in our own head, and I'll leave you with a little story, which I found interesting. So the other day, I buy a lot of jeans from Calvin Klein, and I decided to have a look and see what Calvin Klein emailed me. And I discovered for the past 2 years, Calvin Klein has more or less emailed me every day. For 2 years. I didn't see all of them. I didn't see half of them. I didn't even realize they email me more than once a week. We don't pay attention to everything we see. We don't see everything that comes our way. Sometimes we're in a one track mind, and we're thinking about one thing, and everything else just blurs into the background. And so your one follow-up goes nowhere. Now, I've run out of time. I've put on the screen a QR code. Screenshot it or take a picture with your phone. It gives you a quiz, and on that quiz, it will show you those pathways to pipeline. So you'll see the different ways you can do it, what's involved, how they work, who they're the best fit for, and the quiz will literally say, "This is it. You scored really highly for this one. Why don't you use this one?" Or "You scored highly for this one," and then it gives you a little write-up about what that's about. So go grab the quiz, um, do it, because it will help you figure out what's your best way to convert. What's the fastest and most effective way for you to convert? So I would recommend you do that. If you've got any questions, you can message me, DM me. If you want a copy of the slides, happy to share them. Um, Brill, Stephen, yeah, there. Anything you need, message me, DM me. Dean said it. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you coming on. I've got to be off by 11. There's going to knock on my room service is coming at 11 to clean my room, so I've got to get off before they knock and beat the door down. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Get that QR code, do that quiz. Any questions, DM me. Happy to answer any questions, but have a great weekend.